Little Shula then, his energy was just magnetic, amazing. Like, yo, this is freaking Oshula Day. Like, this man's music takes me to a place I can't begin to describe. And here I am in his presence, and he commands such peace and so much grace and just amazing, amazing, amazing energy. Amazing energy. So much so that I understand that I'm in the presence of something that is literally about to change my life. I just don't know how yet, but I can see it can cut through this energy. And so I start, giving these questions. Big shout out to Alton Miller, who has helped me, draft the questions for him to make them interesting, because I just didn't want to come at him from an angle that all the other guys would, usually come at him. And who better than a big name and a star in our music industry, like in the deep house music industry, like Alton Miller, to give me, the pointers. And he loved this interview. He said, "Yo, man," and then he put his hand. Was I on his lap? I put his hand. It was on that. So it was like this, right? I'm here. So then he puts his hand on my shoulder, so I'm from here, and he says, "I can see you in pain." I was like, "Oh no, I'm cool." He's like, "No. Somebody broke your heart." Whoa. But that's me forgetting that Oshunade is an initiated Babalawo, in the Yoruba religion in Ifa. So I'm like, whoa, okay. And automatically it brings tears to my eyes, but I'm holding them because I'm, first of all, you're in the presence of somebody you look up to. That's number one. Secondly, the man really shows true empathy and interesting, understand what's going on. No, I don't want to bother him as much. She's like, "No, well, whoever this girl is, let her go." And he gave me this ritual to cleanse myself from these energies and, just to be anchored back in myself. And he said, "I'm going to be dedicating my set tonight to you." And when he started performing, to this day, the first track he played, yo, fucking incredible from beginning to end. Music I had never heard before, drums programming that I'd never heard before. Man, it was the first time I cried on the dance floor. That night, after he said, I went home. That night was born Ancestral Soul. Something just clicked in me. Because Ancestral Soul was inspired by Yoruba Soul, its sound. Because the Shunade sound is very unique, and to this day, not many people have been able to emulate it. The only guy that I know who has emulated it to a rather nice level is Ezel and myself. But Ezel quickly found his own sound, and I also found my sound as well. But we draw a lot of inspiration from Shunade, and not only so many. Because Oshunade has and still is a guy that sets trends. Interestingly enough, whenever this guy drops a record, creates a walk in the game. Everybody's like, what the fuck? Oh my God. The following week I sent him the track. That track I produced, you can go check it out. It's available right now, any platforms. It's been out obviously since. It's called Bria's Offering, because it was an EP that I dedicated to Central African Republic, and that was my first solo EP, my first solo project after having had my first releases ever with Alton Miller, because Alton has accepted to put his name next to mine, who I was completely unknown to the game. He co-signed me, so he's my mentor. of mentors. And then after that came Oshunade, then Louis Vega, then Lugo Bear, then so many others in the game, Keisha, etc. So you name them. But my mentors were Alton Miller, who is next to mine. I was nobody. Nobody. He didn't have to. But he believed, saw my passion, my determination, my hard work. You've got to understand, I was day in and out making music. I was not stopping. Spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And let me bring it back to my parents for instance. My dad, at a certain point, I was working so much that I would not sleep proper patterns. So, and my father had the thing about morning and making your bed, etc. He's like, look, one morning I remember, and I could see, my father didn't have to, this is the connection I had with my dad, and my mother, but in this particular case, it's my dad. I would walk before he opened the door. Even if I was in my deep sleep, I would wake up because I could feel his energy. And he would walk inside my room. And it's like a little mezzanine, so my bed was in the mezzanine, so I could see, right? And I woke up, he just looked up and said, my son, you do what you want, but you don't have to really decide what you want to be in this life. But I'm telling you right now, sleeping late and waking up way after everyone and living that life the way you're living it, it's not leadership. That's not how you're going to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life. And he said something in French that I believe all African dads said to the kids. L'avenir appartient à celui qui se lève tôt. Future belongs to those who wake up, who rise early. And that shit struck me. I felt so ashamed. And I was disappointing him in that, he had trusted me. He had, allowed me to do what I wanted to do and never ever asked me to do anything else but just music. That I felt like I was not serving the purpose accordingly. But there's a very essential point here that I skipped as I'm telling the story. So if we're looking chronologically, after I met Alton Miller, so when I met Alton Miller, I invited him over to a session. At the time, I asked my father to help me finance a musical project. I wanted to create my first album at the time, which would have been my first album had it come out. And talking about it, I have to see if I can find this project, so I don't know where it is. Release these joints, because even though they're old and everything, but it's part of my history, so it's gotta be some of my CD there to look at. Anyways, the man with whom I was about to work at the time, his name is Christophe Delame. Big shout out to Christophe. SDF Productions. Man, that project, I've learned a lot. It was a lesson learned in many ways. But also, he gave me access to some amazing musicians. Edmundo Carnero at the time, who was, the drummer of Saint Germain. This big guitarist who was also the guitarist of Lara Fabian and Mohan, big singers from Belgium, etc. And, that's crazy musicians. And we spent quite a decent amount of money. We even pressed vinyls. So that's how through that experience, I met Robert Walker, the big brother who was also, a big mentor. Amazing musician, amazing writer, singer. Man, Robert is another big man in the game who has taught me so much. Alton Miller, Hervé, Mizi, man. Anyway, so I met all these people in the studio, and so that's how we really got to link up. And so that project, my father helped finance it. And In the meantime, I met DJ Pipi, Giuseppe Luzzo, legend of Ibiza, legend. I met him at this venue, sat down, spoke with him, so much passion in me. I managed to just through my passion convince this man. I mean, we instantly bonded and just had this big brother, little brother thing. And, he came back again a couple of months later in Brussels. And, I invited my parents over to his party. I still remember to this day that party that he threw in Brussels, and my father was dressed to impress. My mom was dressed to, both my parents could dress, man. God. I was so proud to come out to this club with my parents and just be like, it was just, man. And they met him, and, they linked up and they clicked and they talked. And the next day we had like a massive lunch. And, Pippi told my dad, he said, yo, man, you gotta let your son do his thing, Trust he's gonna go somewhere big in his life. And so Pippi said, look, there's the Winter Music Conference. That was Winter Music Conference 2004 or 5? Had to be. Yeah, or 6, I can't remember. One of those winter conferences. That was at the early beginning of, Defected, so he invited me over. My uncle, my mother's oldest brother, may rest in peace, Uncle D, was living in Fort Lauderdale. And so I went there. Still remember, man, I remember to this day this experience. It was crazy. Going from Fort Lauderdale to to Miami Beach and going to attend these events. The National Hotel, I remember at the time they were throwing this big party where he invited me at the Versace mansion. And there was Boston Clark, Martin Solveig, DJ Gregory, Julien Job. Big night. And it was my first time getting rejected at a club in a very rude way by this French guy who was, who refused to just look if my name was on the list. It was interesting times, me not knowing anybody and being shy to even go to speak to people. Thankfully, I had met a couple of months before, a year before, DJ Gregory in Brussels through Alta Miller. So when he recognized me and I said, hey, you remember me? Oh, yeah, of course, but you're not done. It's super cool. And it was nice. Then I shook hands with all these big guys, Pierre Ravon, big shout out to Pierre Ravon. Man, I met a lot of people at the time. And so when I went there with my promos. That was a time where, you bring promos to the place. I had like my pressed vinyls, we pressed vinyls and CDs. And I was carrying my DJ bag, giving vinyls and business cards. Because the way it worked before is that you bring your music to Miami for the Winter Music Conference to introduce your sound, potentially get signed to a label, get played by DJs in their sets, etc. And just overall network and connect. And yeah, man, you gotta bear in mind, I was a kid that just didn't know who the fuck to talk to, how to talk to these big guys. I was impressed. I was literally shaking and not very confident with my English neither. And I was just like, oh man. But yeah. All that, participated in sharpening my tastes. That experience of this project that I did with Christophe was very pivotal because I felt very frustrated as an artist. Because at the time, you gotta understand, I was not a producer. I knew what I wanted. I had done some little things, but that was not production. That was just me fucking around with beats and whatever. With Christophe, what I had learned is how you put a session together. He had all these big records that he was doing. He was working with Charles Schilling and all these big names. So it was just like, sound-wise, it was not what I wanted to do exactly, except 1 or 2 songs. But also because I was still I needed to go through my phase of being an underground artist. I wanted to have that underground cachet, that underground step of approval. And where Christophe was trying to take me was towards this more, French house or more a little bit more commercial. And I wasn't, trying to do that. That wasn't me. But it was a very, very important experience because it taught me a lot on what I wanted. And I remember Robert Walker, one of the sessions we did, he said, look, he looked at me, he said, look, I can see it in you. And funny enough, a lot of people that I met, all of them said, yo man, you're destined for this shit, When I first met people, they were like, yo, this is your gift, this is your calling. And I was always able to gather people, reach out. And when I was able to really understand my gift and understand what my purpose was, being able to convince these people to be part of my projects, and I had no money, but it's just my passion and my respect for others and of the craft and knowing their music and being interested in not just having them for the sake of having, co-signs or whatever, but really being passionate of having music made with these artists that I just respected was something important for me, and they could feel it. And you can feel it, when somebody's trying to, fuck around and just act like they know you, but truly they're just trying to get the co-sign of the name. They don't really give a fuck. They don't even know your history. They're not even interested in you in any way, shape, or form. You can tell. And so Rob was like, look, man, you need to do this shit yourself. You already have a vision. You already know what you want. Trust your vision. Trust your drive. Because I trust you. And I think that was the moment one of the moments that just got me to just be like, okay, cool. So in that process, through that process is when, PP and my parents met, and I have the pictures there. Oh man, I have to do a whole live with all these pictures and share them with you guys, because it's just, such a good time, I am profoundly blessed and thankful for all these experiences that I've had in my life, man. Ancestral Soul is a sound of struggle. That's what Ancestral Soul is. It's an identity. It's a movement. It's my oxygen. It's more than your gimmick. It's essential. Because Ancestral Soul incorporates all of the influences that I've enumerated through this conversation today under one identity that is plural. It's a multitude of many things within one thing. It is almost self-sufficient. But it is fueled by our capacity, my capacity to also allow it not to be restricted to me. And that took me some time. It took me some time because at first I didn't understand that to be copied, to be referenced, to inspire others was an honor. For me, I just looked at it as a copy and as a, somebody just copycatting me, and understood that I was really impacting people in a way such that it led them to want to emulate my sound. It was an honor. Just like as I was emulating the sound of Ron Trent, Kenny Dope, the Shula days, I mean, there's some of our production, early production. If you listen to them, one of them, it sounds like Oshunade had done it. Obviously, it's not Oshunade because you can see the small differences. Because Oshunade is Oshunade. We're all unique. We have very unique sounding identities, which unfortunately nowadays, there's a lot of the producers that I see, they find a way to create a concept that fits it all, and so there's no more personality. There's no more personality, or not as much. Tatiana Said, how are you? I'm on the Quality Talks. This is it. It's very good when you understand what is your gift, what is your mission in this world, which means you will always be focused to accomplish what you are meant to achieve. Indeed. And it's not something that can be taken for granted neither, because a gift is a gift. A gift is a gift, and it is important to understand that a gift without hard work, a gift without repetition of mastering your craft is worth nothing. So for me, I really am a firm believer that practice obviously make perfect, and repetition is key. Repetition, rigor, consistency. I come from that school, and no shortcuts will ever get you where you want to be. None. Go up, down, left, and right. Shortcuts, they're cool, but you're not gonna learn. You gotta go through it. In order for you not to miss very essential, there is essential lessons in going through tough times and in being punched in the face and kicked in the belly and being thrown to the floor, and that allows you to know next time how you need to move, what you need to avoid, how you need to behave. Ancestral soul. Ancestral soul, indeed. Papa Oshunade, which is Yoruba soul, inspired me to create Ancestral Soul. And it's interesting because the moment I found the name came to me, Ancestral Soul. My idea was always to merge my African influences with my Western influences, with all of the sound that I love, because I'm listening to African music in general. There's no one African music, it doesn't exist. Africa is a continent. So you have so many sounds and patterns and constructions and structures. For me, I embrace them all. Then you have South American music with salsa, merengue, etc. You have Caribbean music, Western music. All of these influences are part of who I am. And so I needed something that really truly pay homage to these sounds, while still being very unique. That is Ancestral Soul. And then I was blessed to meet Louis Vega afterwards, remix, music for the great Tony Humphries. I mean, shake hands and call the big brother, call someone like Joe Plosset a big brother, or Danny Krivitz, DJ Spinner. Man, so many. Brothers like, Bradford James, Quentin Harris, Kenny Dove, rest in peace, Phil Asher. The list is long. So many DJs and producers that I respect. And I will invite quite a few on the show in the coming weeks. I am planning to put together a series of themed MQTs where I'm gonna have like, fellow DJs and producers, people that I look up to. I mean, Katie Tatum, fucking, all the guys of, 4 Hero and fucking That's in the Attic, and man, all these legends, man, all these legends, Dr. Bob Jones, so many legends, so many legends. It's incredible. It's incredible. Big shout out to all the DJs and producers who play good music and make good music for the world. You guys are more precious than you think, and I feel very honored to have contributed to, through my lifetime, to creating a sound that really is a genre. Afro House. Eventually, that's what we call it now. Ancestral Soul, not everybody understands this, for the purists, I would say, but Afro House is the name that everybody was. And I didn't create Afro House, but I was one of those who initiated. I was one of the very few in the beginning that initiated the sound, alongside the likes of, Rancido, Zephyr Saint, obviously Louis Vega, Joaquin Joe Cosell, Alton Miller, Ron Trent, Trinidad, I missed him. I have actually a whole thing that I need to do on Afro House, which is going to be a show where I'm going to tell a little bit of the story of Afro House. Another MQT.